Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today I'd like to take a look at a game that is very similar to a game that I reviewed last week, and that is 10 Days in Asia. Now last week I talked about how 10 Days in the USA was no longer going to be gracing my shelves. Does the same fate wait for 10 Days in Asia? Let's take a look at it and then you'll find out. Now, before we get into the actual gameplay portion of this review, which will be abbreviated since I just did 10 Days in the USA last week and gameplay is very similar, I did want to go over some of the differences that this game offers as compared to 10 Days in the USA. So first of all, you have these tiles that are called ocean liner tiles or ship tiles, and they have a certain delineation on what ocean they travel in. So you have the Pacific Ocean there, and then you also have ones that are for the Indian Ocean. And basically what that simply means is that if you have an Indian Ocean tile, you can connect any two countries that border the Indian Ocean. So for example, you could connect Indonesia and India, or Sri Lanka and not Singapore, but Malaysia. You could connect Yemen and Pakistan. You could connect Iran and Saudi Arabia with an Indian Ocean card. With a Pacific Ocean card, you could connect Taiwan and Japan, or North Korea to South Korea. There are not a lot of differences here. The only delineation is that Indian Ocean has to connect these that are over here, and Pacific Ocean has to connect these that are over here. This blue line on the map here delineates the dividing line between Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. So that's one thing that is different. And then you also have these new tiles that are called railroads. And so you have railroad tiles that correspond to these brown lines that are on the map, and each line has a connection to certain countries. Not all countries. For example, South Korea is not connected to a railroad. Neither is Japan or Taiwan or the Philippines. It's I guess you could say the mainland countries that are connected by railroad. And if you have a railroad card, you can have it simply placed between two countries that have a connector in there. So for example, if I have a railroad card, if I have Laos and then a railroad card, the next card that could be placed after that railroad card could be Vietnam, China, North Korea, Russia. Any of the ones that are connected on this line here could be connected to that Laos card. So that's how railroads work, and I like that better than the cars, but we'll talk more about that later. Secondarily, as we're talking about things that are different in this game from the USA game, is that there are things called ferries and then bridges. So a bridge is a thick black line between two countries, and then a ferry is a dotted line between two countries over water. And so those are considered adjacent for terms of walking. So as with 10 Days in the USA, the beginning of the game starts this way, where each player takes from these tiles here that have been randomly shuffled and put down face down, and you have to fill your trip with your starting allotment of cards, and that is simply done like this. And of course that would be done simultaneously, so this doesn't produce a lot of downtime. All the players will do it, whether you're playing a 2-player, 3-player, or 4-player game. All the players do this simultaneously, so this is not a big deal at all as far as downtime is concerned. And so then once all the players have been are done filling their initial trips with their blind draws, 3 cards are placed face up, and the rest of the cards are placed face down in a collective draw pile, and these represent 3 discard piles that the players can discard their unused tiles to. And now we are ready for the game to begin. And as the game begins here, we see that player 1 did not too bad, but he does have some work to do. And we look at the discard piles here. Again, drawing from the top is viable, but not optimal. So we want to try to see if we can work with something over here first. And the thing that pops out in my mind here is this railroad, because a railroad, I believe, will go from China to Cambodia. Now, so we look at China. China does have some railroads in it, but does it connect with the one that's in Cambodia? And the answer is yes. So that would work. So I take my plane out and I put that railroad there. And now those 3 tiles are connected. I take my plane that I have discarded and I can place it here if I want to be a nice guy. But if I think that somebody is looking for Bahrain or Turkey, then I can place it on top there so that they can't get that. So I'll be a nice guy like usual and place it in the same discard pile. And now it's the other person's turn. And we look at the cards that we have. They did not do as well as the other player did, so there is that inherent advantage that is present in these 10 days in games. So, but we look at our beginning of the trip here, and we have Indonesia, Indian Ocean. So we have Indonesia here, Indian Ocean, which connects to any of these. And then we see Bahrain over here, which is right here, and it is connected. The Persian Gulf is considered part of the Indian Ocean. So we're going to take Bahrain and replace Uzbekistan here. That gives us a good start to our trip. And again, as always, I can place here or I can cover up. And I think I'm going to go ahead and cover up. Now that third discard pile is still there. People can discard there just as normal. But now this pink airplane is not able to be taken because it is not on the top of that discard pile. And so player 1's second turn happens, and we see Uzbekistan over there, and it could help us out right here with this blue plane and Pakistan. So we're going to get rid of East Timor, and we're going to take Uzbekistan and put it right there. And now the last half of our journey is done. Now we just have to work on that first part, and we got to get rid of this. And again, I'm a nice guy, so I'm going to leave that pink plane open. I'm going to take Tajikistan here and put that red plane right there, because now we have continuity up to day 4. And then we'll take Tajikistan here and place it, well, we'll just be nice and keep it on the same thing. And so with that, play would continue in that manner until, just like with 10 days in the USA, somebody has a complete trip from day 1 to day 10. The first person to do that wins the game. And there you have it. 10 days in Asia is very similar to 10 days in the USA with some subtle changes. For example, they've gotten rid of the cars and replaced them with railroad systems. And also the ships, the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean ships. Is that enough of a change for me to keep this game around, whereas I let go of 10 days in the USA? My answer is yes. It is much more enjoyable for me because of the nuances that the railroads and the ships, the ocean liners, bring to the game. So whereas I will not be keeping 10 days in the USA any longer, 10 days in Asia has a semi-permanent, not saying that it can't change in the future, but it has a semi-permanent place on my shelf because of the eccentricity that the railroads and the ocean liners bring to the game. Again, it is still basically the same game. You're still going through much of the same mechanics and that sort of thing. But the nuances that those two things bring to the game make it a keeper for me. So that is 10 days in the USA. I'm going to give this one 1.5 thumbs up because it isn't my favorite game to play, but it is one that I enjoy playing much more than 10 days in the USA. See you on the flip side, folks.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com.